So I have a rule of thumb. Do not listen to scouting reports from fans of players who went to their favorite college. It's a little bit wordy, but you fully understand what I mean. So all the Hawkeyes fans in the mentions coming out of the woodwork for Nate Stanley. He's good. You just have to give him a chance. But that whole thing. Take everything with a grain of salt. So throw all of that out, right? Also, same thing with like Gopher fans with Tyler Johnson and whatnot. And also, people have tried to call me out in the comment section for being meh on stands like, well, you just hate him because you're a Gophers fan. I mean, I'm a Gophers fan like I'm a Wild fan. I mean, they're here, and I hope they do well, but that's really about it. I'm actually more of a Miami Hurricanes fan than a Gophers fan because it's all about the U, baby. KJ Osborne, 5,000 yards his rookie season. There you go. Boom. And we always say here for rookies, focus on what they can do versus what they can't do, right? So what can Nate Stanley do? Let's talk about it. Also, it's important to note, Stanley got Spielman to break with tendency because remember we had talked about before the draft that Spielman had never drafted a non-first round quarterback since 2008, John David Booty in the 5th round. So a dozen years, Nate Stanley was like, all right, I'm in. Or it could have been the 15 draft picks, one of the two things. But yeah, but Stanley, background, 6'4", 235, just tank, absolute tank. Former 3-star recruit from Menominee, Wisconsin. Now you'd think that in the long sordid history of Badgers quarterbacks, besides Russell Wilson, who does not count because he was a mercenary, he was actually an NC State quarterback, there you go, that they would not let a decent quarterback prospect get out of state. But there you go. Was a 3-year starter for the Hawks, 3-year captain, one of only 2 players to ever do that for the Hawkeyes. Peak season was 2018 as a junior, 2,852 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 10 picks, 136.5 quarterback rating, 7.2 yards per attempt. And it did help having Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson, but you know, that whole thing. 2019 last season, 2,951 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 7 picks. Also, by the way, he only threw 6 touchdowns, but had all 7 of his picks in Big Ten play last year, which I thought was amazing. That's an amazing anecdotal stat. It's just crazy, right? Career 58.3% completion percentage, 7.2 yards per attempt, 68 touchdowns, 23 picks, blah, 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 blah. Combine. So saying this dude is a statue is an understatement. And yes, you look at the 40, 4.81 seconds, blah, 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 blah. Kirk Cousins, Kirk ran a 4.93 at his combine, blah, 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 blah. But watch both players, and you tell me who is more mobile, right? And who's just better at straight line speed testing, which sometimes a lot of not mobile guys, I mean, they can do okay running in a straight line. Just don't ask them to turn left. Look at DK Metcalf. But yeah. But pros, Nate Stanley, monster arm. It is a legit cannon. It is an absolute slingshot back there. Throwing motion is a little bit long and loopy. Will benefit him to tighten that up a little bit. It's a little Byron Leftwich adjacent back there, but he can put it. He can put it out vertically. He can throw outside the numbers with some velocity and some okay accuracy at times. You do find him timid at times, almost to a fault, where, despite the monster arm, his average depth of target was 9.5 yards last season, which was 50th in the country last year out of 130 FBS teams. So, yeah, even though he's got the capability to sling it down, he kind of is a check down Charlie at times. Now, that may speak to, the talent that Iowa has outside at the wide receiver spot. Like, give Nate Stanley, Rashad Bateman, and Tyler Johnson, and maybe those numbers would be different. But, yeah. Cons, he's not accurate. Like, at all, right? He never topped 60% accuracy in college, and that includes a lot of dink and dunk in the Iowa offense. And even with 2 years of peak Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson, which is just insane. And accuracy, I'd much rather have an accurate quarterback with a weaker arm than a strong arm quarterback with limited accuracy, because one thing you can coach up, get in the weight room, technique-wise, you can add a little bit of zip and velocity, but accuracy, it's almost you either have it or you don't. You can either throw it with anticipation, throw it to a spot, put it on the mark, or you can't, right? So that's where I'm a little... I have a little cause for pause with Stanley, right? Also, I think he's more of a thrower, not a passer. Next to nil for mobility. Had great offensive lines in front of him in Iowa and still put up that production that he did. So I'm not quite sure how he fits in Kubiak's play action and boot-heavy scheme. Does he have the ability to get outside the pocket and create time for himself? I don't know. But he is a big dude with a big arm, which are always intriguing. I did play in a pro-style system at Iowa, and does have a really nice deep ball, and also recorded 95.6 PFF grade on balls of 20-plus yards downfield, which was 6th in the nation. So he's got that going for him. But also under 20 yards. As I die, is that you, Rona? Not so much. It just is not great. So even though I'm pretty whatever on him as a prospect, I still think he has a lot more upside than Jake Browning. I think that his ceiling is a lot higher than Sean Mannion's, but that's not saying much. But I also do not think that the Vikings want him on the field ever. Ever. So it could be a spot where he works his way into being a decent big arm, big body backup, like say Chad Henne, who's probably still floating around the league. Actually, is he? Doesn't matter, but sure, I could see that, and I think that's a win. For a 7th round prospect that's seen as a big time project, him being a 10-year backup, number 2 in this league, I think that's a monster win for Nate Stanley. And also, it's important to note. So the Vikings had their choice of quarterbacks, and Nate Stanley was the final quarterback taken in the 2020 NFL draft. So notable undrafted guys: Tyler Huntley out of Utah, who I really liked; Kevin Davidson from Princeton; Bryce Perkins from Virginia; Brian Lewerke from Michigan State. Although I don't know if Kirky could have another Sparty alum in the quarterback room. Maybe that's it. Anthony Gore from Washington; Mason Fine, North Texas; Steven Montez from Colorado. So some really decent names, and frankly, I liked all of them in the draft process over Nate Stanley, but it's apparent that the Vikings see something in the former Hawkeye gunslinger, and I hope it pans out. And mainly because if he becomes quarterback 2, that means Sean Mannion is not. So that would just be great for everyone as well. But your thoughts? Nate Stanley from The Office. Nailed it. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Pull us up on the Venmo. Plus give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time. Skull, production value.